Classical piano is all around us. It's on TV commercials, it's in restaurants, but we don't always notice it, we don't always pay attention. We just assume that it's good classical music. Why is that? Why don't we notice? Why do we assume? We could look at the problem from a psychologist's perspective, or as a musician, I'd look at it from a pianist's point of view. How, as a musician, can I create an unparalleled sound to make you, the listener, believe that you're actually listening to a higher echelon of sound? If you're not a musician and you just listen to classical music, understanding how this sound is created can better help you appreciate classical music. In my generation, many of my peers, they don't like classical music, they don't listen to classical music, they don't even believe it's relevant. But after studying music, it's clear that classical music inspires other genres of music and current music. Music like Heart and Soul, or songs by Frank Sinatra, or Adele, or John Legend, or Chris Brown. So, if we place two pianists on the same piano and ask them to play the same song, there's a difference between the experienced player's sound and the inexperienced player's sound. How do we describe this experienced sound? Well, we might say that it's more reverberant, there's more sonority, it's a more full sound. There's tone, there's pulse, there's inflection. It's as if the composer wanted the notes to be in the air for a specific amount of time. I'm going to explain 3 techniques that pianists use to create this authentic, experienced sound. These techniques are best for some classical music written by people like Beethoven, or Chopin, or Rachmaninoff, or Debussy. So, how do we get this experienced sound? The first technique deals with the knuckles. So, relax the wrist, and I mean really relax the wrist. Relax the arm. Relax the shoulder and the torso, the entire torso, and amass all of the force in the knuckles. This frees up some of the sound that is absorbed by the wrist and the arms. It seems a little crazy, but it really makes a difference. Let's listen to 2 clips. The first has a constricted wrist. The sound is constricted, and there's not much distinction between the melody and the rest of the notes. Then we'll listen to the same technique used correctly. All right. Everything sounded kind of mushy, sounded kind of the same. Now, the change is going to be subtle, I'll grant you that, but listen to the second clip with the free wrist, and you'll be able to hear a distinction between the melody and the rest of the notes. Okay, so to a lot of people, that probably sounded the exact same. I get that. But over the entire course of a piece, a concerto, a symphony, that technique makes a huge difference. Let's move on to the second technique, movement. Movement, to an extent, is great. However, a lot of people see the pianist with their arms flailing all around or scrunched up close to the piano as the better, more mature pianist. But that's not really the case. In fact, the pianist that sounds like him or her is having a worse time or it looks bored at the piano is oftentimes a more mature classical pianist. A good standard here is to follow the notes. So move to have the arms serve the knuckles to hit the keys. So if the notes are going up, move the arms up, move the torso up. Don't just move the wrists, don't just move the fingers. Oftentimes, playing with a controlled movement can increase your technique and can increase your accuracy. So the ones on the left are a little overly expressive with the hands, kind of like this about to strike, whereas the pianists on the right seem more like your authentic black and white, classical movies. Last technique deals with the pedals. All right, so when people begin to play piano, they oftentimes overuse the pedals. Like when I was a little kid, I would just kind of hold the pedal down when I was playing, and everything sounded the same. So there's a pedal on the left that quiets the sound, and there's a pedal on the right that sustains the sound. It's the sustain pedal that really can make a difference. So when playing classical music, Many professional pianists play without really using the sustain pedal too much. In fact, they'll use it sparingly, whereas most professional or other pianists will just kind of hold the pedal down. So what that means is you get an unclear sound versus a clear sound. You get an overly connected sound versus the right amount of connectedness. Also, on an interesting note, the sustain pedal is not usually just on or off. It's usually pressed in levels. So professional pianists will actually press it down 25%, or they'll depress it 50%, and sometimes the full 100%. This alters the amount of connectedness people will feel and hear between the notes. So let's listen to 2 clips. The first clip, wrong technique, wrong pedal usage. You'll be able to hear how there's a melody, and professional pianists are good at making the melody stand out. But what matters more oftentimes is the bottom notes, the notes at the bottom. So really, maybe close your eyes and listen for the bottom of the sound, and you'll be able to hear that it's an unclear sound. Then we'll listen to it with the right pedal. So if you want, join me in closing my eyes. Can we play the audio? All right. Now let's listen to it again, but with the right pedal. All right. Hopefully I didn't just help you all fall asleep again, but did you hear the distinction? It's a little subtle for sure, but over the course, again, through an entire piece, that really makes a difference. So the next time you hear classical piano, classical music, don't just write it off. Take a second and think about it. Think if you can hear the loose wrist, the flowing body, and the tempered pedal. Hopefully I've helped you to appreciate classical music a little more and enhance your listening pleasure by walking through how to make a clear, reverberant sound in classical piano. Thank you.